I just felt like I was dying. Whatever, I didn't care, it was gone. To keep going.
I can't wait till you come over. I'm not sober, so you know how it's about to go.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This video is a little bit different. I'm going to be giving you guys a COVID update. So for anybody that cares, I'm going to be talking about the current treatments that I'm using, that I've researched, that I'm using, that some physicians have told me that I'm using from other long COVID sufferers that I have been in contact with. But before we move on with this video, I want to put a trigger warning on this video. It definitely may be heavy. So heavy emotionally, so anybody that may think that they may not be able to handle that at this moment, definitely emotionally wise, keep that in mind before you proceed with watching this video. Also, a disclaimer, be sure to reach out to your physician before you attempt to do any treatments that I mentioned in this video. So yeah, let's get to it. So let's first talk about how I contracted COVID-19. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for about 17 years. In October of 2020, I contracted COVID-19 from a patient. I was exposed several times to multiple patients. This was during the time where my job, there was very little equipment. They were kind of prioritizing equipment for people. We were triaging patients before we would go in to see, you know, who we needed N95s for versus what they called a comfort mask. Stuff that I was not comfortable with, but it was my career, it was my job. I needed the job, I needed the money. And so, yeah, I put my life on the line and I contracted this disease. How did I know that I had it? I was having like pain in my chest. The day before I went to the hospital, I had pain in my chest, and it was on the right side of my chest, and I thought maybe it was from like exercising or something, like I had pulled a muscle or something. But I had took a mental health break that entire week, so I didn't do yoga or workout. So I was like, well, that can't be it. So I was like, well, you know, if I have a fever or something like that, or if the pain comes back, I'm gonna go to the hospital. And this pain was like really, I have a high pain tolerance, and it brought me to tears. I didn't know what it was, and it didn't dawn on me, okay, COVID. The next day, I didn't have the pain. I was like, you know, okay, I'm good, you know, I feel fine, like maybe it was a fluke, whatever. I didn't care, it was gone. I got up that morning, went to work, I was just smiling, and 2 hours later I started getting chills in my body and body aches, and it started from the bottom up. So it started from like my feet and then my lower legs, and I felt very feverish, and then the pain in my chest came back as well. So this is like 9 a.m. at this point. Drove myself to the ER, called my job, told them that I'm having some symptoms. It was like, okay, we think you have COVID, but we don't know. So they did a PCR test, did a chest x-ray, did some stuff to make sure I didn't have a blood clot in my lungs, because a month prior we had did a cross-country trip. 3 days later my PCR was negative, and I was like, boom, I don't have COVID. And I was like, okay, boom, I don't have COVID, but I still was sick. So I still had pretty much all of my symptoms, and I still was sick. So I went to my primary care. Primary care put me on steroids, thought maybe I had bronchitis, da-da-da-da-da. At this point, that stopped the chest pain. So I was like, boom, okay, that I'm good. I got bronchitis, I ain't got COVID. The test said I don't have COVID. So, you know, I started back exercising slowly. At this point, I'm like 2 weeks in. So I was running at the time. And so I was running, and I'm like a few minutes in, I felt like I was about to pass out. I was like, ooh, this is something different. So I stopped, I took a break, I sat down on the curb, and so that was that. This time we're like November. So I go to urgent care. I go to urgent care. I'm like a month in at this point. She's like, you know, you might be one of those long haulers. And I was like, what the hell is that? You know, I had never heard of it. At this point, I stopped watching the news. Okay. And she's like, I think you need to see a pulmonologist, because my breathing had never improved. I was still feeling feverish, like getting chills, but my breathing and the chest pain was the biggest thing. So when my doctor prescribed me the steroids 2 weeks later, the pain went away. So it was like short term, and then like after being off the steroids for like a week, the pain came back. That's what made me go to urgent care. Yeah, I go home, I'm looking up long haulers, and I'm like, oh, this this is crazy. I never heard of this. Like, this is crazy. A lot of New Yorkers that I was seeing that had COVID and they were not improved. They had gotten COVID in like April 2020, and here it is November 2020, and they were still suffering. So at this time, I had not been back to work yet. Here it is December. I couldn't get in with the pulmonologist. Pulmonology wait at this point was February 2021. And in December, I went to a cardiologist because my heart rate was doing crazy stuff. Every time I would move, my heart rate would shoot up. At this point, I'm super weak and fatigued. I'm tired as hell, sleeping like 14, 15-hour days, can barely get out of bed. I'm in pain all over. I'm having daily fevers. So at this point, my mental health started to just do this. I became suicidal. This was around Christmas. Christmas, New Year's, my favorite holiday is Christmas. And I was having suicidal thoughts. So at this point, it's January 2021. I am going back and forth with my mental health with like these suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety, still battling these symptoms. I had several tests in December with my cardiologist. At this point, everything is negative. Like, there's nothing that's showing that there's any damage. So I'm excited about that. I'm telling myself to be like, hooray, there is nothing wrong. Everything is saying that everything's okay. I'm like, I got 2 thick blankets on. I got 2 heating pads on around my neck, around my shoulders, and then my back, because I'm having pain in my lung, in my chest, lung, whatever you want to call it. And now at this point, I'm having headaches every single day. Got doctors prescribing all these different medications trying to help with my symptoms. At this point, my allergy list is growing because I'm medication sensitive, and realizing I'm medication sensitive, and I'm not responding to any of the treatments, but also the medications are also making me more sick. So January 2021, I start therapy. That was helpful for my mental health. I had some medication changes as it relates to my anxiety and getting in with a psychiatrist at this point. February 2021, I finally get to my pulmonology appointment. The pulmonologist does all these tests, PFTs, pulmonary function tests, wants to start me on an inhaler to see if that'll work, treat me like I'm an asthmatic. And again, every doctor I'm going to is like, yeah, there's not enough information we have at this point, so let's try such and such and such. So it's just basically every time I go, they're like, oh, it's like an experiment. So I'm trying these medicines, they're not working. So he does a bunch of tests as well, and then he also tests me for autoimmune diseases. That everything came back negative. Again, not much help, but also, again, I'm still trying to keep it positive because everything's saying it's negative. But what do I do about my quality of life at this point? Kind of like I was all on my own. Okay, so let's speed things up a little bit. So January 2021, I had to go see an ophthalmologist. She was actually the second specialist I saw. She tested my retina and everything, said she couldn't find anything wrong, but, you know, and they don't know. Again, there's no research yet. They don't have a lot of information. My eyes were jacked. I couldn't see the TV anymore. I was watching TV and I couldn't see it from my bed. So now I have these glasses. I had my vision tested right before I got sick. 20/20 vision, no problems. Whatever happened with COVID, like, I needed glasses. So yes, and that still happens. Like, all of a sudden, and it's also like a day-by-day basis. Like, some days I can be in my bed and see the TV fine. Also, during the day when I first wake up, I can see the TV fine. As the day progresses, just like what my symptoms progress throughout the day, my vision becomes worse. Time comes, follow back up with my PCP. She tells me, okay, let's start you with physical therapy. I start physical therapy. Went through physical therapy pretty much all of summer 2021. And then started seeing a neurologist as well for the headaches. She prescribed me on a bunch of different medications that I was sensitive to. Found out that I had TMJ, basically from all the stress and anxiety. My jaw is clenching in my sleep, and also I'm not breathing while I'm sleeping. So I'm having episodes where I'm not breathing. So I also had to have a sleep study. I know some of you guys might have a question like as to, well, what were you doing in between the time frames that you were seeing all these doctors? I was trying to figure it out. Nobody could help me. That was a lot of the reason why I had suicidal thoughts is because I felt disposable. I felt like people had no compassion. I felt I didn't know what to think. My brain was just doing all kinds of thinking on its own. And being a nurse made it worse because I have a lot of information and a lot of knowledge. And so I was kind of diagnosing myself, and at that moment I just felt like I was dying. I wrote letters to my husband and my daughter, not like suicidal letters, but kind of like letters that, you know, if they found, I thought I was gonna die in like my sleep, like stuff like that. So I just wrote letters for them so that they would know how I felt and what I wanted for them when I was gone. So yeah, I felt like I was dying. So yeah. But in between time, I was seeing a holistic doctor, and I also was getting acupuncture. So during this time, we used the last bit of my disability from my job as well as our savings to pay for these holistic things because insurance doesn't cover it. And so I went to a holistic specialist as well as acupuncture. I would say if anything helped me out of any of that stuff, it was acupuncture, but we didn't have enough money for me to continue with the treatment. Medically and scientifically, nobody else knows anything. So there are people that are turning to naturopaths, and I felt like they were capitalizing off of that. So it just felt like I was being taken advantage of. So a few notes. I never tested positive for COVID-19. And there are a lot of long haulers that didn't test positive. Even the antibody test, I never tested positive for COVID-19. There were people around me who did, that I was exposed to. And honestly, leave it up to my body to be the one that's different. My body never functions normally. I don't know why. I have every single symptom. Loss of taste, loss of smell, had that. My sense of taste came back. My sense of smell has not fully returned. It's almost 2 years. Let me also go over the symptoms that I initially had, and still, well, I'll do the ones I initially had all together, and then I'll let you guys know what I'm still dealing with right now. In the beginning, I had headaches, I had fevers, chills, body aches, short-term memory loss that came like maybe y'all say 2-3 weeks in. Chest pain, my entire right lung deep. It's like very visceral, very internal. It's not outside musculoskeletal pain. It is internal, deep, visceral pain. Every time I take a deep breath, shortness of breath, severe fatigue, dizziness, chronic cough with wheezing, blurred vision. I'm still battling on a daily basis. The biggest thing I have are headaches, dizziness, severe fatigue, and right lung pain. The right lung pain is not just to the right anymore, it's both of my lungs. It's still more severe on the right, but it is my left, my rib cage, the bones or the cartilage in my rib cage, they actually pop when I breathe now. I have shortness of breath, like whenever I do anything like making this video, like just the amount of talking that I'm doing causes me to have shortness of breath. I have frequent nose ulcers, I have blurred vision, I have the joint pain, muscle aches. Unfortunately, the fevers are starting to come back, the chills are starting to come back. Short-term memory deficit or brain fog, word finding difficulties. I used to be very quick on my feet. You had to as a nurse. I used to be the nurse trainer for all the new nurses on my job. I was a stellar nurse, and I definitely know that I'm not quick on my feet like I used to be. I also have heart difficulties now, so I have arrhythmias or abnormal heart rhythms, as well as increased heart rate whenever I do light activity. Constipation, I don't know why, because I eat a mostly raw vegan diet at this point, and I have like nerve pain in my feet and my legs. So that's what I have now. I do not get any relief. I know people watch my vlogs, they watch the videos on this channel, and they're like, oh, she's not sick. I wish that were the case. I wish that I didn't have to fight so hard to live that life that people look at and say that she's not sick. I wish I didn't have to fight so hard to be positive and to live my life, but I do. If I didn't, I probably wouldn't be here. Like, my mental health would suffer significantly, but I push through and I go on vacations and I hang around with my family. I have cocktails, I try to dance, I try to do all the things that I did prior to getting affected with this disease, to keep going and to continue to make memories with my family, because what else am I gonna do? Lay in bed all day and let this disease get the best of me? I don't want to do that. So I fight, and I fight. It's funny, I never give myself enough credit or grace. My therapist told me, she said, you have to understand, you are doing better than a lot of people in your condition. You have to give yourself some grace. And I never thought about it like that. But I am really strong. I am really strong. Strong enough for people to look at me and say she's not sick, when every single day I'm in a lot of pain all the time. All the time. For almost 2 years, I have never in my life had a pain-free day. A day where I felt good. I have moments. It might be like an hour out of a day, maybe 2 hours out of a day, where I feel decent. Okay, so let's fast forward to 2022. What's been going on in 2022? So my primary care physician, she recommended that I see the COVID clinic because there was not a lot that she could do for me. And I started that COVID clinic, what is this? This is June. I started that COVID clinic, I want to say in April. Everything was going fine as far as like the respect, the compassion, them trying to figure out stuff, them telling me stuff that I didn't know, like how to rest, when to rest. And so what I noticed over the past 3 months is that my lungs are getting worse. Realizing that the popping that I talked to you guys about, what I'm experiencing now, like the cartilage in my chest and my rib cage, is telling you, like, I can hear it and I can feel it pop. And it's not just in one area. It's like my entire rib cage will pop. And that happens on both sides of my chest. In addition to that, it's painful. Reached out to my doctor at the COVID clinic about 3 weeks ago. At first, I was just going to do like I've been doing. Just like, you know, what's the point? They can't help me. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Let me just tell her what's the worst that can happen. Let me just tell her, see what she says. I told her, and then she told me the COVID clinic was closing, that I need to go to my primary care physician. When she told me that, I had a mental meltdown. I was shocked. I had to wake my husband up. I was having a conniption that day. It was not a good day mentally for me. I don't really understand how people do you dirty. Like anybody. Like, we're in a pandemic and I just feel like people have no compassion. Like none at all. You know what I'm saying? And so it doesn't matter who you are, a medical professional, somebody that's working in retail. It doesn't matter. Your family members, your friends, like people just don't have no compassion. You would be thinking like, damn, y'all see it look like we near the end of the damn world and everybody's just selfish and not coming together and not like, what do it have to take for you to make a change in your life to be a good person? I don't understand. That's how I felt. So I'm no longer at a COVID clinic. I'm gonna try to get in the COVID clinic at Johns Hopkins. It's very difficult to get in there, so we'll see what happens. I'm gonna try when I go to my primary care, but I've decided to take the summer off from seeing doctors because of my mental health. It is very exhausting going to the doctor for them not to help you. I've been doing this for almost 2 years. It is exhausting. What treatments am I currently on? Let's talk about the natural treatments first, or the supplemental treatments. I take vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams. That is a lot. I drink a lot of water, but I feel like the vitamin C helps protect me from getting sick. I also take vitamin D. That in combination with the vitamin C just gives us an immune system boost. And last but not least, I take turmeric. So I take 500 milligrams of turmeric. All of my supplements are natural, so I do spend more money for them, like so that they don't have any dye in them. They're vegan and so forth and so on. Turmeric has been probably the single most effective supplement or thing that I take by mouth to help me with this disease. It's a supplement that helps with inflammation. I can tell you, even though I'm in pain every day and I have the amount of pain that I have, I stopped taking turmeric and let it get out of my system I think in January before we went to Hawaii. And when I tell you, it was a monstrosity. Heating pads, heat. Like, I take my heating pad on every vacation. I pack it in my suitcase. I have a heating pad next to my bed at all times. I put the heating pad around my neck. I also bring it around to my jaw, and I put it on my back. It helps to kind of open my my rib cage a little bit. I don't know how to explain it, but it just helps. Everything is stiff, including my rib cage, when I get up in the morning. Say the other most natural thing is just changing my diet to a raw vegan diet, or just vegan in general, but not a processed vegan diet. Medicinally, is there anything that has helped me? The albuterol inhaler helps me with the wheezing. So on my last visit with my primary care, she has been doing, like, keeping up with the research, and she said that there are patients that said that Benadryl was helpful. What she didn't know, I was already taking Benadryl, because I had gone to the ER a period of 6 times from the time I got sick in October 2020 to January 2021. They were giving me Benadryl in addition to Toradol for the headaches in my IV. And so I was like, I'm not going to the ER no more. Like, what am I going to the ER for? They treat me for the headaches, and they don't even send me home with anything for pain. They just treat me for the headache at that moment, then send me home, and then I'm coming right back to the ER. And so I was just like, I'm gonna buy some Benadryl and take Benadryl, and I took the equivalent to Toradol at home. So again, nurse brain, the gift and a curse, but that was the single most thing that was effective for keeping me out of the ER. And so when I went to my primary care and she told me that, I told her what I was doing. And so she okayed for me to take the Benadryl. She did mention the side effects, of course, that Benadryl has the side effect, of course, of causing dementia, is what they've been seeing recently. But I mean, I already have brain fog, so and I don't want to suffer, so I'm going to take the Benadryl. So how has my life been affected by this? Life has been affected by this, as you can imagine, pretty significantly. My whole world is different. Not only is my world different, but my husband's world is different. My daughter's world is different. We are partners, my husband and I. You know, we cultivated this life together that worked for us with our jobs and financially. And unfortunately, that had to change. I can't work right now. I am limited in a lot of things. So my daughter was helping to take care of me before we moved in with my mom. Again, we had to move in with my mother because we are a one-income household. That has, you know, affected my family significantly as well. Life has been turned upside down. To not be able to do the things that I once did. I used to love dancing. I used to love singing. Those things have been affected. I'm able to now slowly get back to singing and dancing, but not like I used to. Like, I used to sing and dance for hours. Just dancing. I literally sing and dance in the mirror for hours. It was so therapeutic for me. I was doing that since I was like 7 years old. Watching my husband and my daughter watch me being down and out is probably a huge deal for me. I try so hard to ensure that their life continues and in a normal way as much as possible. You know, being in a space, not being able to cultivate my own peaceful environment, an environment that's a safe haven for me. I mean, this is not my house, this is my mother's house. So, you know, I am all about mental health and Zen, and, you know, trying to cultivate a space that's going to help me to think positively and so forth and so on. And I'm having a difficult time doing that here. It's not a space where I'm able to create that lifestyle the way I would like to. So that's very difficult for me, especially because I am ill. Somebody just drops a bomb on you and tell you you ain't gonna get better. You know, that's stressful enough. So you would hope that your mental health would be in a space that you could lean on that to get you through, and it's kind of difficult to do that. So where am I now? I'm trying. I realized that I was in a very negative space, that I had been in a very negative thought space, and a lot of my family members were telling me that. And then my pastor had preached about this yesterday, and was talking about you know, basically what you think is who you become. And I just realized how everything, I was thinking death, I was thinking negativity, I was thinking negative thoughts all the time about everything, not just about me, just about everything. I don't know where it changed, but I'm changing it. I'm ready to change it. So that's why I wanted to get this video out, put this out, so that I can just start cultivating positivity. You know, I know it's not going to be perfection. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for progress. I'm looking to continue to fight. I want God's light to radiate through me. Anybody that is in my presence, I want them to know how much I love God. I want them to see how much fight I have in me. I want them to be inspired by my strength. I don't want them to be like, oh, you think negative about everything. That's not what I want to project. So that's where I am right now. I am trying. Now, I'd be lying if I said that I don't feel like I'm dying, because I do. I do feel like I'm dying. I do feel like this disease is going to kill a lot of people, being a long hauler. I feel that my body is progressively declining. You know, it's just sad. It's sad because sometimes I'm fearful that I won't make it to my 40th birthday, which is 2 months away. But I thought that last year. I thought I was going to make it to my birthday last year, but I made it. So I don't want to be thinking these things. I just want to think positively. You know, God is still in the miracle making business, and so he can heal me, you know. And so that is my only hope, you know what I'm saying, is that if that's what's in his will, that he will heal me, you know. And if it's not, then it's not. But in the meantime, I want to be able to have peace and joy in my space while I'm living out the days that I have now. And I want anybody in my space to be able to cultivate that and project that as well. If anybody in my space doesn't have that, or if that's not the life that you're trying to live, positivity, peace, and joy, and not drama and all that other stuff, I don't have time for you. You know, it's exhausting. I don't have the energy. I don't have it. I don't have the energy. I'm trying so hard. I've never tried at anything more harder than I do at trying to live a more peaceful life every day, trying to be more positive every day, trying to fight through every day. It is exhausting. But I want to get to a point where it comes easy, where it's not exhausting, you know. And it is a fight that I am ready in this moment to take on. So, yes. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any questions at all whatsoever, or even suggestions, maybe you are a long hauler watching this video and your treatment process has been different, or you found that some things work better for you, I would love if you could leave that in the comments below. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to subscribe and like this video as well, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys in my next video.